from under my blankets so it's quiet enough to hear me. This is Reimagining Hustle, a podcast for entrepreneurial parents creating a life where business and parenthood live peacefully in the same space. I'm your host, Roxanne Market, a mom of two, microbusiness coach, and serial entrepreneur on a journey to prove that it really is possible to do what you love without sacrificing all of your precious time. Let's do this. Welcome back to Reimagining Hustle. I'm very excited for you to meet my guest today. I have Jessica Maldonado with me, but before I introduce her, I need to let you know that if you have run across Jessica before, you may have seen her with her former name, Jessica Varian Carroll, but I get the privilege of introducing her as Jessica Maldonado today. So Jessica, thanks so much for being with me.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I'm so honored, and I'm just so happy to be here. Thank you so very much. What you're doing is so important. And I'm here to share whatever I possibly can that might be a little nugget for someone moving forward.
Awesome. I cannot wait. I know that there always are. It's amazing to me as I've been doing this podcast for a while now. It's so fun to me to recognize the value in telling stories like yours, right? Where it's just, we'll dive into it and we'll hear more about what it is you do. But I'm so excited to have this conversation. And also I did acknowledge the name change here, but I want to tell you congratulations. I know it's been a couple of months since your wedding, but congratulations on the marriage. That's very exciting.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Jessica,
Wild.
I know, right? Pandemic wedding, which I'm sure we'll hear more about, but will you just tell us about you? Tell us about the work that you do, your journey to get there.
Absolutely. Okay. So 2010, I realized that my first marriage wasn't working. It wasn't going to happen. And, we were losing a house to a foreclosure, and I was afraid we were going to just come home, the doors would be locked, and me and the kids would not be able to figure that out. So I took a job in the church, and I said, I'll do anything, whatever you need me to do. And so, after a few weeks of like talking to the priest, I was like, anything. And he said, okay, I have a job for you. And so he hired me for the after school program. And it was in Asbury Park, a lower income, almost poverty level kind of after school program in Asbury Park. And there's no fee. So, they just dropped off the children, and it's predominantly minority. So most of the kids came from families that, English was not their first language. So here we are, we open the doors for a couple hours a day, and we have snacks, or we do what we can. And, my kids at that point in time, me and my 4 children, we're living in a very small ranch, sharing 3 bedrooms, but we were lucky if it was maybe 800 square feet. And now my 2 youngest at the time, Riley and Damien, they didn't have a lot, but I realized they had a lot more than these kids did. And I was like, whoa, something's wrong here. So I was put in charge of the kindergarten class. So next thing you know, the 2 of them, they're boy and girl, we're sharing a bunk bed room, and I'm purging their stuff. And I was like, you guys don't even play with this. And they didn't have a lot, mind you, but I was like, no, the plastic kitchen, that's gone, this, that, and the other. And I brought it into the classroom. And, and then these kids were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Some of the kids even showed up in pajamas, like they went to school in pajamas. And so it just, something really occurred to me there, something transpired, and I didn't know what it was. While I was there, I ran into a woman, and she's like, oh, I'm part of this networking group, this women's group. Maybe you'd like to join. It's called WHIP, Women in Power. And I was like, okay. At the time, I started a small multi-level marketing party light candles. So I was doing that at night on the rare chance that I could. And I wasn't passionate about it, but I was just trying to bring in a little more income. Sure. And so I joined for that. And I got into that room, and I looked around, and I heard all of these women doing all of these things. And I wanted to hide in the corner. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not for me. I don't deserve to be here. I didn't graduate. I didn't even go to college. Like, oh my gosh, please don't talk to me, because I don't know what I'm going to say or do. And over time, things started to change. And then I had this idea. I had watched an episode of Hoarders the night before our monthly meeting. And so I was hosting at my house, which was a huge big deal. So I had this tiny little house, and it was the first time I was hosting like mature women, like,
Yeah.
so I was feeling, more comfortable. And we had a question of the night. So we closed with a question. Anybody could grab it, and take it. So here I was like, I'm going to say something. So toward the closing of the meeting, my heart's beating out of my chest because I'm going to say something. I'm going to bring up something. So I approached, the dozen or so women that were in my house. And I said, is there really a need for this home organizing thing, this home organization kind of business? And half of them, now this was 2011, pre-Marie Kondo and joy of tidying up and all of that stuff. And they said, are you kidding me? Absolutely. And half of them hired me that night.
Oh, wow.
So I was beside myself, and I knew I had to, really take advantage of it. I was working part-time at the school. So I immediately followed up. Okay, when are we doing this? What night? What weekends? And like just making it happen and to see. So I would work at the school. I would do this in the off time. And then I was researching, and I was like, oh my gosh, organizers make $50 to $200 an hour. Like I was blown away. Like you could even possibly get something like that. And I just started. And I think within 4 months, I knew that it could be a thing, that I was capable of doing it. So I had tested, I got before and after photos, and because that's what my networking groups are like, get those before and after photos. Those are what you need. So within 4 months, I opened up my LLC. And at the time it was Organized by Design. And a year ago, I rebranded to Organista Home. So since then, I've been in business. It'll be 10 years next month.
Congratulations. Happy anniversary. That's a
Thank
big
you.
deal.
A big deal. I've worked with over 300 clients and donated over 1 million items to charity.
Wow.
So helping women reclaim their space, feel happy at home, saving relationships, friendships, all kinds of things. I mean, I just got off an 8-hour job in Manasquan, 2 very busy doctors, and I'm just helping them purge. And actually, funny that we're here now, they were my very first client. So they're just so busy. I've moved them, I've unpacked them, and we just keep, in contact because they thrive at what their zone of genius is, and it's not organizing. So they have me come in because they realize it's really important for your headspace, that it's just clear. So I'm still doing that. I had the good fortune of hiring a few women. And so I have a few women that work for me. Sadly, things have occurred, and through the pandemic, I have them part-time as needed. It's not as needed as often, but I'm very optimistic that we'll get back there again.
Yeah.
And just so grateful for the opportunity, because I know not only am I helping my client, but I'm helping people in less fortunate situations. And then for people that don't know where they would put things, they'd be like, oh, I'm just going to throw it away. Well, it doesn't go to the landfill. So I rehome it essentially. So it's like a big win, 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 win,
Yeah.
And just very exciting. I love it. I'm so passionate.
I mean, I can tell as you talk to, and I think about, as you share your story and seeing, kids in need and things like that, to basically pull all of that into your business, right? Where you are finding an opportunity to, support others who may be less fortunate than you are right now, to find opportunities to support women and to hire them. What an incredible thing that you've turned this whole business into. That's absolutely incredible. I would love to ask you for a really, is there something actionable that you could recommend to us right now, that if you're struggling with organization in your home, what's the first thing that you would suggest to people?
Purge. You got to purge, but pick one area. And be very specific, because you could be, deer in headlights or squirrel.
Yeah.
Pick one area, stick there, pick a 6-foot section in the kitchen, and you just stay there and you just knock it out of the park.
That's
so
awesome.
That would be my number one thing. In December, I think, or January, I woke up one morning with a burning desire to purge. And I live a minimalist lifestyle. So I don't have, if you looked around my house, it's like, there's not that much stuff there. But I woke up and I was like, I'm going to do a 500 item challenge. So I woke up, I put it out to my social media network. I had 50 people take the 500 item purge. So that's what, 25,000 items people were purging. So little did I know, if you look at my bedroom, you wouldn't believe it, but I pulled out 300 items, whether it was trash, donation, or recycling. But if I told you I pulled out 300 items, you'd be like, no way, like where?
Yeah.
But I mean, every item counts. And then just to see the movement of people that were like, okay, I want this. So, you had a week to do 500 items. They say the average American house has over 500,000 items in it anyway.
500,000?
Yes. American, in the American.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
There's a difference there too. But yeah. So that way you should be able to do it with your eyes closed.
Wow. I have a big move coming up and I'm like, we should do this now. I should see if I can do 500 items in every room. Like, let's do this. Let's see.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Wow. That's absolutely incredible. So it'll be 10 years next month. What does success look like to you?
And for me, it's really being a good role model to my children. So right now they're from 14 to 22.
Okay.
And, they've been with me through thick and thin. I've raised them as a sole provider, financially, physically, the whole deal. So, I mean, I would have the minivan full of black bags to pick them up from school. They'd have to jump over the black bags or sit on the black bags. So they've been there, they've helped me, they've dropped off the items that, and so they really saw their mom in action and making things happen. So for me, them seeing that and hopefully it resonating somewhere in their, in their journey forward in their lives, that, they can really essentially do anything. I was able to support them. After 3 years, I couldn't even work at the church part-time anymore. I had to just do my business full-time. So sadly, I haven't received child support, or I didn't for at least 8 years. So I was able to, raise them alone just off of what I made working part-time hours. So I really wanted, my goal at some point is to make it a pod thing where other women, I can teach other women to do this or franchise it, because I was a single mom raising 4 children who were in sports, who did things. So, I could do the 4-hour shift, make enough money to support us in the 4 hours, the 20 hours a week, and still do the rides, do all the things that I had to do. So
wow. I love too that you just described success not only now, but past successes and what future success looks like to you. So to have that vision so clear in your mind is such a beautiful thing. And you mentioned something I want to ask. So your kids are 14 to 22 now, which means if I've done my math right, they were between 4 and 12 when you first started doing this.
yes.
Have you noticed they approach organization differently now, having watched you do this for 10 years?
Sure. Yeah. I have 2 that are on track, that are very pretty much OCD, almost slightly anal. And then I have 2 that don't even care. You don't want to check their rooms out. Trust me. It's not a pretty sight. So I didn't want to impose my, you got to keep the room orderly, but I'm not crazy. So
Certainly. I appreciate you being so honest with us too, because I think we have this, this vision of what it would be like if, like for me at least, what would my life be like if I were as organized as you are, right? Like how organized would my children be? And so I appreciate that you're so honest with that. Do you have suggestions for, especially because this podcast is really for entrepreneurs who are also parents, are there suggestions you have for getting your kids involved as you do things like purge items in your house?
yeah, I mean, I make it fun, so I would post challenges to them, like, oh, let's see how many. And to my daughter, I have 3 boys and a girl, and I said, let's see if you could do 50 items. And this was when she was, much younger. She came out with, 101 items.
Wow.
And my 22-year-old bought a house last year, and that just goes to show he saw his mother working hard and aggressive. So at 21, he was able to purchase his first condo because of his priorities. And, so I knew I did a good job because he's able to do that. He wasn't just gifted a house, he had to work for it and make it happen. And he did it at such a young age. So that's one of my accomplishments, is knowing that he watched and he, saw, and he's a hustler. If he has an opportunity to pick up a side job, side work, he's doing it. So
Yeah.
that's very important to me, that the kids, you don't need the college degree. My two older boys, virtual college is not for them, and that's okay. So
Yeah.
now they're just doing their thing, and they're making it happen whatever way. And they're good, kind people. I mean, they work together, and they get all these compliments. They're in customer service. Who raised you? Who was your mother? Like, I want to meet her. You guys are so friendly, you're talkative and things like that. And that means the world to me, knowing that, yeah, we had a lot of tough times. I mean, there was a time we lived in that small little place, and, the water was shut off. And, trying to figure that out and how to navigate those fields. So they've had some really extenuating circumstances, but hey, they made it through, and everybody's doing really well. So
Wow, that's wonderful too. And congratulations to your son on purchasing that house too. That's really exciting. So can I ask you about this word hustle? Because this is what this whole podcast is about, is this idea of reimagining hustle. I
oh
want
yeah.
to give you a little bit of background to the question that I'm about to ask you. So when I first started my entrepreneur journey, I was not a parent. I started and I was, doing all the things, and I love the hustle, 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 go, go, go culture. It felt really good to me. It felt like, I really thrived off of that culture. And then I had my first child and my whole world stopped. And I went, oh no, this is not sustainable. Must find something else. What are we going to do here? And so I've been on this quest to reimagine hustle since then. And so I would love to know, what does hustle look like to you? Now, you've described it a little bit, but I would love to know, like, really, if I could just ask you point blank, how do you reimagine hustle?
Sure. Well, for me, hustling in my scenario, things have changed over the years. But for me, my hustle, I had one motto. I was raising 4 kids alone, financially, everything. It was work or be homeless. That was my mentality. I didn't have anybody to fall back on. It was me. So me hustling, me working every day was just what it was going to be.
Yeah.
And now things have changed, and I'm in a better scenario. I'm not still, floating on, bags of money, but things are better. But I've loosened up the hustle to enjoy life more, but I am still hustling. I'm not giving that up. I still want to provide. I want to be better. I want to be debt free. I want to do all of those things. So, hustle in my early days was work or be homeless, which was a lot. And then I really got shifted when the pandemic hit, and all of a sudden I'm not working. And here, so for, 8 years, I went hard. I mean, I was working, I was hustling, I was, booking appointments. And now it's like screeching halt. And I was so disoriented and not knowing what to do. So I took, maybe 2 weeks, and then I called up another priest, and I was like, I need work, I need to help. And he said, okay, well, we're delivering school lunches to the kids in Asbury Park. So I went into the church, I helped make the brown bag lunches, and then I got in the van and we delivered them to all of those areas you wouldn't drive through. And everybody's like, well, weren't you afraid, COVID, and you're in the, you're doing all this? I'm like, no, I'm protected. I'm doing good stuff. I'm doing good work. These kids are not going to get food necessarily because their parents can't drive them to pick up the free food for lunch. And so I was in there, and, it was just about being in there, giving back, helping others, where, mothers would have to worry, like, where that lunch is going to come. If you get free lunch 5 days a week, and now all of the sudden, actually they do breakfast and lunch. So it was just, so I helped out there, and slowly, I start working bits and pieces here and there. But I so my hustle is different, definitely, but it's still there.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, and I'm really interested in how you've described this. Your children have been a part of this, service has been a part of all of this, and so I think
Yes.
that concept of hustle kind of, um, for me at least, that hustle culture was kind of ignore everything else and only do this one thing. And you still, you know, you mentioned that it was work or be homeless, and but you still did that, right? Because you were still caring for all of these other people in your life. And I think that that's really an inspiring story to me. And I really appreciate you letting us in on that, that
Oh, thank you.
piece
Thank
of your
you.
world too. How has being a parent during all of this journey of yours, this being, in business for almost a decade now, how has being a parent during all of that changed you as a person?
It's been interesting. I am co-founder of a women's organization. It's called SOAR, Seize Opportunity and Rise. So I started that maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And through my business, through my organizing company, I found that a lot of the women I worked with, I'm 98% women clients,
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of them almost seemed lonely or were looking for a friendship. So sometimes I felt like I was hired. Yeah, we did a little work, but it was more, talking, more friendship, things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And I was like, something is wrong here, something is off balance. So when I joined that women's group all of those years ago, you could have said I could have been one of those women. I couldn't afford it to have someone help me, but so now over the years, I became more comfortable, and all of those women I was intimidated are all now my best friends. So I have this big network of women, and I was like, this isn't right. And so I have 2 parties a year: my birthday in August, and I have a Christmas party. And I invite my clients and my friends. And next thing you know, the day after, I see on Facebook, this one's friends with this one now, and this one and this one. And I'm like, this is a beautiful thing. So I had met with a woman when I was writing my book years ago, and we just stayed in touch. I shared with her my story about going to Haiti in 2011. 2011 was a big year for me for whatever
Sounds
reason.
like it. Yeah.
I raised a bunch of money with a man from church. He said, can you partner with me? We're going to do tents for Haiti. So I shared that story. I flew over to Haiti with medical supplies and all kinds of stuff. And she's like, well, you need to talk at my women's conference in Pennsylvania. And at that time it was called Bold Heart. And so I did that. And then a few years later, she's like, I want to bring that, but to the Jersey Shore where we both live.
Mm-hmm.
And so her and we started talking, and I'm like, wait, this woman has written books. She's got companies. Why is she asking me to be her partner for this? I'm like blown away.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did. And it turns out her and I were in alignment for, around that time frame. We were both thinking like women need to connect, women need to come together. So we created this thing, which our daughters both, they're still young, but are very much a part of it. So it's talk about bringing your children and having your children involved. My daughter right now is in all accelerated high school programs. And I think it's from that lesson of her seeing her mother really hitting the grindstone with everything. The minute I found out I was having a girl, I signed up to be a Girl Scout leader. So, and my troop was an accelerated troop. I didn't have just like, arts and crafts every Wednesday. No, we had a 1,500 cookie box goal. We broke it down on how many you were going to sell a week. And, so I think those examples has pushed her to like this enormous level. And even for my sons, they help stuff the swag bags. They drop off stuff to donation, to charity. They are people.
I got you. Like people like to care about people, like people, not like people pleasers,
person.
but like they're, like a people person. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's it. I was like, what does that word?
People. Yeah, totally. That would be the plural of people, like a people person, right? Both of them, they are people. Yeah.
And so it's just, the kids have seen that. They know that I didn't, I finished high school. I never went to college. I had my oldest son when I was 19. And just seeing that anything you're capable of anything.
Mhm.
So just planting that seed, like, hey, yeah, you might have a different path and that path isn't wrong. You can succeed, but you got to put it in the work, the time, the energy, and, go for it. And, so I've given them little offshoots of jobs. Last night, my 14-year-old was matching socks for one of my clients
That's
because,
awesome.
hey, you never know what's going to stick, what's not going to stick. My kids did a few different ventures, just to, you never know,
Yeah.
what is going to happen, but I think they're all better for it for sure.
Absolutely. Jessica, have you ever experienced guilt around raising your kids and growing a business at the same time?
Well, I was very fortunate with my organizing company. At least I made my own hours
Yeah.
and worked Monday through Friday. My favorite time frame was right after they were in school. So I would love like the 8 to 12 shift or the 9 to 1 shift. So essentially, in their eyes, I never worked. I
Mm,
might have bags and bags full of donations, but
sure.
I was always around. There wasn't, I mean, there was sorting, there was a little research, since doing SOAR, but essentially I've never worked a 9 to 5 that they can recall.
Yeah.
So they don't realize it that being a thing, I don't think. So
That
I'm
makes sense.
fortunate in that way.
Mhm.
So
That's awesome too that I think that's one of the biggest perks and the biggest draws of entrepreneurship, especially to moms, is that you can create your own hours. I think sometimes we forget that as you create your own hours, it doesn't have to be 9 to 5.
yeah,
You can say, "Hey, nope, I'm working after I drop my kids off to school until I go pick them up," or whatever that might be, that
yeah.
you don't have to work a 40-hour work week. You don't have to, that's it's okay. And I love that you do that and you embody that. So that's just fantastic to me. What do you wish people knew about living these two worlds of parenting and entrepreneurship at the same time?
That is absolutely feasible. I mean, if I could do it with no support from, another party and really dive in there and really wholeheartedly, um, you know, dive in, it can be done. Everybody, there's an excuse for this or I can't do that, and if your excuse is big, if your reason's bigger than your excuse, you can absolutely do anything. If anything, I'm living proof of that. I mean, we've been, through all kinds of scenarios. And I mean, if anybody is interested in my book that I wrote last September, I really dive into that because my goal with this book was even if I could just help one mom, it's called She Had No Business, because the whole time I was like, I have no business doing this. I have no business
Mhm.
doing this. I have no business doing this. And so I really just wanted to share my experiences so anybody that has been through things knows that you can get ahead of it. You can really rise above it. There's many a times that, I could be in a fetal position, laying on the ground, not wanting to ever move, but I couldn't. I had 4 kids. And so there's tips in there, there's a lot of explanations. Um, and hey, I mean, what did I have a reason to write a book? My only goal was to help just one person and see what happens. Now, here's the book. It's in Barnes and Noble. It went to Walmart, Target, and all of these kind
Awesome.
of things. So you wouldn't think, but I just tried it. And I was like, what the heck? If it could help someone. So it's called She Had No Business, a real life tale of faith, courage, and beating the odds. So my whole goal was just, to help just that one woman that was in my position. Just go for it. Just say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. And she can do it. Well, I know I can do it. So
Yes.
that is, one of the reasons that I did that. And, I'll let you in a little secret. I just signed a shopping agreement with a major producer where he believes that he can bring it to the movie screen. So
Oh
we'll
my
see
goodness,
if it's,
how cool.
and here you go. I'm telling you, Roxanne. I mean, here I am. I have no business writing a book, but I'm going to do it anyway, and we'll see what happens. Well, it
Yes.
got picked up in all the major, or companies or whatever. And okay, all right, that's cool. And now, maybe it'll be a movie, God willing.
Yeah.
It'll reach the people that need to see it, that we're in similar, situations. And just to know that, like, my first dedication in this book, well, my only dedication, to Jared, Noah, Riley, and Damien. Just remember, all things are possible. So it's living proof. I mean, who would have thought a girl that finished high school and that was it, has a book in all of these stores, might, God willing, will have a movie,
Yeah.
inspiring others. Don't need $1 million. You just don't know. So just try it. What the heck, what the heck?
That's absolutely incredible. And I want to just remind my listeners that this book, if you want to check it out, make sure that you're looking for it under the name Jessica Varian Carroll, not under the name Jessica Maldonado, because I know that that's something that we talked about beforehand, that I got to go grab a copy of this book so I can read it too. But what an incredible thing. And what a great name too for the book. She Had No Business. Like, oh my goodness, I'm so here for that. I hope it becomes a movie. I think that'd be really cool.
Thank you so much. Well, I have to tell you, I woke up in the middle of the night 2 years ago, and it was She Had No Business. And I'm like, what does that even mean? But you're supposed to write down what you think. So I got up, wrote down She Had No Business. No idea what that was even. And then 2 months later, my partner for the women's event came to me and she said, had this opportunity. And she's like, what do you think? Who do you know? And I was like, what about me? And then that's where that was the title. And I didn't even know. It just came to me in the middle of the night. So.
Oh, I love stories like that. Those are the best. Those are the best. Jessica, I'm just so inspired by your story. I feel like this whole thing has been a pep talk, but will you give us a very specific pep talk for parents on this entrepreneur journey who are just feeling like they just need a little boost?
Okay. All right. I'm going to say, dive in, jump in, just go for it. To hell with everybody else, money, resources, whatever. If you want it, I promise you can make it happen. You really can do it. You have to be committed. You have to be tenacious, but I promise if you put in the work, you will be rewarded.
Pep talks. Thank you so much, Jessica. This has been just an absolute treat for me. I know my listeners will enjoy it as well. We definitely need more of you. So tell us, where can we find you online?
Sure, absolutely. LinkedIn, I'm under Jessica Varian Carroll still. On Instagram, I have Organista Home is the home organizing platform. I have Facebook, same thing. And so Instagram and Facebook. So I have Organista Home, I have SOAR Women's Symposium, and then I have Jessica Varian Carroll author page. So there's a few different tangents. There's enough of that. And I have, websites, but who does websites anymore? Everybody just posted social media platform. And so that's all good. And I would love if any of your listeners have any questions, just to message me, just let me know. I'd love to answer any questions. By all means, there's a lot of tips in the book. If, I think I have a contact in the back of the book, but, I'd love to, my passion is really helping others and serving. And so if there's anything I could do, if you need a quick pep talk, you need me I love stationery. I love writing cards. So I will write a card to you, whatever you want. I have I bought 100 of You Got This Girl cards. I'll ship that right out to you. And, by all means, use me. I would love to be a service to you or anybody else, awesome. For sure.
Awesome. What a generous offer. My goodness. And we'll make sure that we include all of the links in the show notes. Jessica, thank you for the gift of your time today, for sharing your story with us. I'm inspired. And I think that this idea of you actually do have any business doing the things that you're doing. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you so much, Roxanne. It's been a real pleasure, and I wish you good luck on your journey. That's quite a journey that you're taking in the new chapter. And jump on that purge sooner than later.
It's gonna happen. We're hang up the call and we're gonna go do that right now. So awesome. Thanks so much, Jessica.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Reimagining Hustle with Roxanne Merkett. If you like the show and want more, check out reimagininghustle.com and please leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back next week with another episode. See you soon.